Like we're connected. So let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off. All right, welcome everyone. Happy Friday. We started a little later tonight for those of you that do join or those that watch this later. This is our very first YouTube broadcast coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. It is Friday. It's May 24th. We've got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time, so we're going to kick this bad boy off. But I'm Sean. Welcome to the Russell Factor. We're always glad you guys are here. Always glad to see you. Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. And tonight I've got my co-host Dylan Manzo, the D man himself. Dylan, how you doing, man?
Hey, doing good, man.
Hey,
Memorial Day
welcome to our
weekend.
first YouTube live stream. We've been working
Dude,
on
I'm
this.
excited.
We've been working
I'm
on this for a
excited.
couple of weeks. We've had some technical
Yep.
difficulties. We just had one, trying to kick this bad boy off. But no,
Yep.
I'm super stoked to have you here, man. Happy Friday. Any fun plans for the Memorial Day weekend, man?
Oof. I mean, you already know everyone's gonna try to make it to the lake. Lake Pleasant is a good one.
Yeah.
What is that one in Gold Canyon? I think it's in Mesa. So we'll see.
We got Havasu, Powell, Pleasant. We
We,
got all
we
kinds
got it
of
all. We got it
Salt
all. Yeah.
River. Got everything going on down here,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That and I'm finally glad all the official NFL schedules just dropped this last week. So I've been looking at some of those, trying to figure out where I want to go, where we want to do some
Yeah.
podcasts at this coming up year. So we got to talk about that coming up here soon. But man, let's get things started. So for those of you who've been following along, we've got a couple of things in the works. Obviously, we've been redesigning the entire studio. That's not completely up yet, but when we do, it'll have a whole different look and feel. Um, and I've been plugging away at programming Apollo. For those who don't know Apollo is going to be our AI tool companion that is going to be there with you along the way anytime you want to put your own bets in. You want to look at just some data that maybe we don't have out on the russellfactor.com website. But or for those of you that like to go against us and make your own path, Apollo is going to be there for you to be able to ingest your own data and allow you to ultimately make whatever decision you want to go with. So how that works is every day, everything we scrape, all the historical data, all um, the information that we put out on the website via either the free picks or the VIP picks is is a lot of automation that I built over the last 6 7 months. But there's also a lot of data that I don't put out there. For example, I don't cover a lot of soccer. I don't cover a lot of women's NBA. We have a couple games on every once in a while. But the data just like screams at us. But um, you don't get everything. You get our football, basketball, hockey, baseball, UFC, right? And what Apollo is going to do is all that data is still there. I just don't utilize it on the website that we put out for the users and the subscribers to see. It will allow you as a subscriber to say, hey, how is we understand that Sean has the Wolves winning the game by 5.5 points tonight. But what are some player props that are out there? What are some other things that we don't necessarily cover just due to the bandwidth that we have and things that are going on? And so that's what that's going to be there for. So Apollo is right around the corner. I spent a good deal of time on him the last couple of days. It's starting to look awesome. And so I'm getting really stoked about that. But Dylan, you got anything before we start, man?
Yeah. Let me ask you: Is Apollo more accurate than me on predicting these games? I've been wrong a whole lot recently. The
Apollo
last couple of weeks.
Apollo uses both historical, hierarchical, and current data to make the best informed decision um, without having to look at some capper or some sports better that's in Vegas. So we will see for sure.
I know we're gonna get some people that think, "Oh, yeah, I'm just more accurate than Apollo." Hey,
Yeah,
man,
that's probably
that thing
not
that
gonna. It's not gonna
that
be
thing's
true.
accurate
He's
as
pretty.
hell. Yeah,
I mean, the same stuff that Apollo is going to have is what I've been putting out for our VIP picks. And from Friday of last week until now, we went 36 out of 41. So just goes to show you where we're sitting at as far as our bets. So yeah, man, I'm excited. So it'll be cool. I was actually working on some skin
right.
designs last night. And for those of you guys who haven't seen some of the prototypes out there, imagine like a Greek god with like the feathers on his side, but like in the body of Bumblebee, the Transformer, black and gold that matches the site. only cooler, and that's what I've been working with. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
taken a lot of time though. That is not an easy thing to program. So
You
it's
you
all
have
good.
been putting in work.
I've been putting in the work, man. Dude, let's get started. We got a lot to talk about. We got the Mavs and the Wolves game that's on right now, but let's take a step back. Um, let's recap Wednesday night's game, and then let's talk a little bit
Yeah.
about how we think tonight is going to go. I tell you what, dude, guest of honor, man. Go ahead and kick us off, man. Tell us what you think. Let's recap Wednesday, and we'll move into tonight.
Yeah, I didn't see this happening. I thought Mavs were going to thoroughly outplay the Mavs. That did not happen. I think, I know in the last episode we are talking about, it feels like the Wolves thought the Nuggets were like the best opponent available in the playoffs. After they win, they probably thought, oh, the Mavericks, probably not a team that they thought were okay. They're probably not going to challenge us.
Yeah,
Completely wrong. Um, Man, and the thing with Dallas is that they're a team where they just try to make it close, right? If they make it close up to the fourth quarter, they know they got guys in Luca, guys like Kyrie that can get buckets at any point in the game. And they have a really good bench. I feel like that's been overlooked as well. That can hit, big time shots. Just look at PJ Washington, 1 minute left in the fourth quarter, hit that three in the corner. So when it comes time in those clutch moments, they know how to win those games. Uh, I've talked about the Thunder. I felt like every game was a close one, and they were able to win those close games. And Kyrie responded emphatically to Ant after Game 7 against the Nuggets. Says, "I got Kyrie." Well, put up 24 points in the first quarter, so he had a monster game. And then Luca does what Luca does, man. He does his thing, whether that's finding the open pass when everyone's trying to guard him in the paint. And I forgot how many points he had, but it seems like every
I think it
single
was.
one of
I
those
think it was
baskets
was 33. I think it was right 33.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they combined for 63 points. So Luca doing what Luca does, and he wants to get to the NBA Finals, and he wants to cement himself
They're
as
looking pretty damn good in my book right now. So,
yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
man. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, dude. I mean, the Mavs. The here's a couple of things that I thought about. The Wolves definitely are not going to roll over. They're not going to play dead. They're not going to
nope,
just take this lightly. And they damn well have a right to not do so. They have proven that they deserve to be sitting right there next to the Mavs. Um,
yeah,
the problem I have is that the Wolves are a better team on paper than the Mavs are. I think they went 56-26 if I recall for their record. The Mavs are sitting at 50-32, and but the thing is, the Mavs are I think fifth in the division for the West, and the Wolves were third I think, yeah. And so I mean they're both great teams, but the thing is although the Mavs have played they played at a level that's just exceptional, right? So
yeah,
the even with them being a lower ranking team coming into the playoff series, they still have a right to be there just as much as the Wolves do. But I think ultimately Luca and what they do and them stealing game one and then just having this momentum, I think that they didn't steal game one. I mean, they came back from being down. But it's one of those teams that if you're not beating them by 20 points, like you better put a
right,
nail in that
right.
coffin. You better put a nail in that coffin, or else they're going to come back. They will find a way to scratch their way back, and that's what they did. And I think ultimately Minnesota takes this game tonight. Right now, on the lines. I mean, obviously the game is live now, but prior to the game starting,
Yeah,
the Mavs were or the Wolves were favored by 5.5 points. They were minus 250 on the line. The over was at 207 and a half, so basically 208. And I really like
yeah,
those numbers. Both of these two teams have been in between the 205 and the 213 range consistently in this playoff season. So I like those numbers for them. But yeah, man, so what do you think?
yeah. I'm gonna leave the numbers to you, math nerd. But you made a good point there. It's just game one, guys. You can probably hear the headlines on ESPN, like, okay, is the series already over? No, the series isn't over. It's just game one. But what I think gets overlooked a lot is Jason Kidd, man. He is proven to be a phenomenal coach. I know people wanted to write him off after being the coach of the Bucks some years ago, but he makes adjustments when they need to make adjustments. I don't think that gets talked about a lot because on paper, the Wolves should beat the Mavs. They just have more talent. But I think the Mavs, they just play to their strengths extremely, extremely well. And it also helps when you have two superstars to lead the way there.
I agree, man. I agree. I think ultimately, I made some notes earlier today, and I think ultimately, right now the Wolves are up 31-26. It's about to end the first quarter. Um,
Okay.
I think the Wolves take this game. I think they have to take this game if they want to see something kind of realign the universe. But ultimately, I see the Mavs taking this series. I think the Mavs and the Celtics are going to end up in the NBA Finals. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But I think this ultimately ends up being a 4-1, potentially a 4-2 series if the Wolves can keep their stuff straight. But I
Man,
think Luca and the
you
Mavs.
did not believe in the Mavs, huh?
I I no, I think the Mavs take this. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay,
I'm saying I
gotcha,
think the
gotcha.
Mavs.
Okay.
I think the Mavs go 4-1. Sorry, I think the Mavs go 4-1, potentially 4-2. If the Wolves straighten things out that they need to straighten out, and I think ultimately that's what we're going to see, man.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted to make sure there.
I see the Mavs and the Celtics in the finals going to the championship series there. So
Man, you're spilling a lot of tea. I mean, we'll probably get to that. I leave. I'll give it some thought,
okay, let's do it.
but now the Mavs obviously stole game one. Would you consider them the favorites you know, heading into game two, game three, game four? I mean, you're saying that the Mavs obviously should win the series as of this point. Do you give the Wolves a shot? How do you see it playing out the rest of the
So
series?
so there's two things that can happen here. There's actually more things that can happen here, but I think realistically we see one of two things happen. The Wolves have to keep their head on straight, and they have to understand that they've lost three of their last five games, right?
Yeah,
Whereas the Mavs have only lost one of their last five games. So the Mavs are much more on point, right? Now I said they're on paper they're a worse team than Minnesota, but Minnesota has lost three of their last five, so they've got to turn that around and they've got to keep their head on straight, and they've got to play good ball. So they're playing Luca and that Irving team, man. Like that's a dynamic duo there, and they got to stay up and relevant. If by chance this Wolves team loses at home tonight against the Mavs, I don't see them having a chance at winning this series at all.
I mean, hey, that's what they said about the Nuggets,
That's
and then
true.
they took it all the way to
We've
seven.
seen some really weird upsets in their home courts this last two playoff series, but um, either that happens or the Mavs just stay on point, shut down, shut down, shut down, and we don't even see a Wolves presence like we were hoping to see. I think everyone, as far as statistician wise, will agree that this is supposed to be a 7 game series. It's supposed to be a back and forth, tit for tat. That's what this
Yeah.
is expected to be. And if that doesn't happen tonight, if the Wolves do not come out victorious tonight, then we don't see that. I don't think we go past. We would be lucky to go to a game six. So that's just my opinion.
Really, that
I
that is a bold claim. I'll tell you what, Kyrie plays like Uncle Drew, like he did in Game One. Man, this uh, I still think he'll go to 6 games. You just have to respect the Wolves. Anthony Edwards has proven, like we talked about, to be a top five player in the league up to this point, right? Um, yeah, I mean 5 games. I don't know about that. That's being
I
very
could
optimistic.
I could see
Yeah.
I could see the Mavs like if they steal this tonight or if they earn it tonight, not really steal it, but if they take this game tonight,
Where
that
was
puts them up
this?
to.
Where was this a couple weeks ago? I thought you were going with the Thunder. Now you're the biggest Mavs fan, huh?
I'm not a big Mavs fan. I'm just saying statistically and how this is looking. This is what has to happen in order for us to see that. But I mean, I also you can't discredit the Wolves at all. They have
Yeah,
earned their right to be here. But I'm an underdog guy, man. Like I like the dogs. You know that we've made a lot of money this season
I love the
being a
dogs.
dog. So I gotta stay consistent, man, and that's where I'm going with that, man.
Yeah, honestly, I don't want Minnesota. I mean, they
All right.
eliminated my son, so it's like, all right, you guys can
Um,
lose.
so that's how I feel about that. I think ultimately the Wolves do take the game tonight, but if the Mavs do, this throws in motion. a whole series of events that we'll see over the next week and a
Yeah.
half going into what would be the NBA Finals. So, um, that being said, man, anything else?
No, let's talk about Pacers Celtics. I was
Pacers
watching this
Celtics. I was
game.
wondering when this was going to
Yeah,
come up, so let's talk about this bad
yeah.
boy here for a
I
minute.
was watching this at Buffalo Wild Wings while I was getting the buy one get one, and my thoughts were they're just hitting all their shots, and I could tell early on, even though the game was close, I'm like I just had a gut feeling, and the Celtics are going to pull this one out. So they play extremely well at home for the most part. Derek White was going crazy. It seemed like whenever Jason Tatum was driving to the paint, passed it back, Derek White, that thing was butter. Drew Holiday doing his thing defensively, offensively. He's one of the better two-way players. And talk about Jalen Brown, probably the best two-way player in the league right now. He's just when he gets into the paint, full head of steam. There's really nothing stopping him. That dude's just a hoss. Once he gets in there, he's either getting a foul or he's laying it right in there. So, but the
I
thing is,
I agree.
Boston they just did what they were supposed to do. They won the first two games at home. Now we'll see what happens in Indy.
I'm interested to see how this plays out. You bring up a good point, dude. You talked about Drew Holiday. I think the interesting thing here is I, it's depending on who you talk to. The whole term, dual two way player,
Yeah,
is something that you don't hear come out of a lot of people's mouths when you talk about Drew Holiday. And I 100% think he is. He slides back and forth between those two roles very well. But I think ultimately, the Pacers look good coming out. I thought this was going to be like a sure, like closer than peanut butter sticks to jelly type game, but that didn't really happen. The second half happened, and then all of a sudden, the chicks they threw gas on the fire, they aired that bad boy up, and they said, "Let this motherfucker burn," and they just took off. And
yeah.
so it was just one of those things that there was no stopping them. And I made some notes that like it's kind of crazy because Indy is 47-35 of the season, and that is literally damn near 2/3 of what Boston is at their record. So like Boston literally just dwarfs them in regards to their record for the season. And this was a really similar lined out game according to Vegas for the Mavs Wolves game. Boston's favored tomorrow night. They're on the money line at -250.
Really, they're favored. Wow.
Boston's
Okay.
favored by 250. They're favored. They're favored by 6.5 points, so damn near 7. And I can't remember what the over under was on it, but I'm pretty confident it was probably in the 212, 213 range. Both these teams have been putting up a lot of points. So
See, that's
um,
that's massive disrespect to Indy. Massive disrespect. Going back at home, this is a do or die game. Game three.
yeah, it
You
is. And
don't
right
you
now
don't come
Boston's
back
two
from
zero. Yeah,
3-0.
yeah.
So I
So
mean,
it's one of those things. Boston. I mean, Boston is doing what they do. So I mean, I just refreshed the page. I was wrong. The over under is at 222, which is completely respectful for both of these teams because they've been smashing that out of the water. We saw
yeah.
263 game the other night, and then 240 whatever it was the other night. But so I think 222 is. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that going over again because it is an all out war. Indy does have to perform here in order for it to keep them in the
Yeah.
race. But 2-0, Boston's up. They're in Indy's backyard. Boston's favored by almost 7 points. They're the money line favorites at -250. I mean, I don't know. Boston is Boston. So this is so volatile. I don't know what to say, honestly. Like, I think Indy squeezes it out, but on paper, ugh, I don't know, man.
No man, say it with conviction.
I think Boston shuts them down, honestly.
Really? Okay. I mean,
uh,
I can see it
uh,
happening.
I can
I
too.
can see it happening. But the thing with Indy, they play extremely well at home.
Yeah,
Extremely well.
yeah.
I don't think that and I get it. Against Milwaukee, they didn't have Giannis, but I mean that's still a good Milwaukee team. That's still a good Knicks team. I know a lot of people want to say like, oh, Indy, they just play teams that had a lot of injured star players or injured players in general. Kind of reminds me when the Suns were going through that 2021 run to the finals where they just ran into every team. Their star player was hurt, but no, Indy's still a good team. I think they win game three just because they need to, or else it's wraps, it's over with. But I don't know. I could see it happening. It could definitely be a sweep
Yeah, I
for
mean,
everything.
even if it's not a sweep, like I think that Boston has the skill, they have the momentum, and they definitely have the fucking firepower to take this 4-1. Like I could see this being a 4-1 series. And if they take
Gentlemen
this
sweep.
tomorrow, if they take this tomorrow, they take game 3, it's very possible it goes 4-0. So
Oh
like
no.
I just
Oh, if I was on the Pacers, I would give up if it's 3-0. I'm like, you know what? It's not gonna happen.
we
I'll
were
set my trip to Rosarito and think about next season.
yeah.
But yeah,
I,
it'll be over.
it's hard to see games that get this. It's hard to see teams this far into a playoff season get swept. Like that just doesn't happen very often, especially an indie Pacers team like this, right? That we're watching. Turner is just a
Mhm.
savage. Like it's just Pascal is just a savage. Like these guys are just amazing guys, and it's like it's hard to see a team get this far and get swept. But I can see
I'll
Boston
say
doing it.
this: Tyrese Halliburton needs to show up in terms of scoring the ball. Everyone knows he can pass the ball. He's one of the best passers in the league. He needs to step up in the scoring category. He needs at least 25 on top of your 10 assists that I know he's always getting. But Tyrese needs to step it up. Pascal Siakam, actually, I thought he had a good, game one and game two. So he needs to keep doing what he's doing. And TJ McConnell's been doing well. U of A alum there, so he's been kind of doing his thing. But yeah, they just need contribution from everyone, Nemhard and those boys. So yeah, I mean it's a do or die game, game three. So I'm looking forward to that game. I think isn't that on tomorrow,
It's
right?
tomorrow night at 5:30 our time.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Looking forward to
And
that
yeah, yeah.
game.
I'm looking forward to it too, man. I tell you what, we are slowly running out of time. I know our technical difficulty kind of set us back, but let's we pretty much already talked about it, but let's recap some predictions. I'll start off. Mavs Wolves playing currently right now. I think the Wolves absolutely have to take this game. I think they have the opportunity to take this game. If they don't take this game, then I see the Mavs really just putting a beat down on Minnesota. But tonight overall, I have the Mavs or not the Mavs. I have the Wolves. Sorry, taking this game. I don't think they're going to win it by the spread of 5.5 that is favored.
Yeah,
But I see the Wolves squeaking this bad boy out. Like I said, if they don't, that just gives Dallas that much more momentum to really put a beating down on this Wolves team. And what do you think?
yeah. I mean, I have the Wolves winning too. They can't afford to lose two games at home, so this is a crucial game. And going down 0-2, that would be kind of unfamiliar territory for this team. Because remember, Minnesota before this year have been to the playoffs, haven't had much success because they're so young. They're still trying to figure things out. Integrating Rudy Gobert into the lineup. Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, making sure they know how to play with each other. So, going down 0-2 would be very unfamiliar territory, and that's not a recipe for success to wanting to reach the finals. So they can't. They have to avoid losing this game. They have to win it.
Yeah,
In
man.
my opinion, it's a do or die game. There's a lot of do or die games right now. It's the
So,
playoffs. It's
yep,
one series away
100%.
from the final. So
100%.
that's
Celtics
my only
Pacers tomorrow. I know we just got done talking about it, but ultimately, I think we're both in alignment that if Indy doesn't show up tomorrow, game 3, they just basically are shooting themselves in the foot and saying, see ya, we're packing the bags and we'll see you in Cancun. So, uh, what do
see
you
ya.
think about that one?
Yeah, I'll burn my Tyrese Halliburton jersey if they lose that game. I'm just kidding. I
I
never happened, but
I've never had one either, but that's kind of funny. So, dude, okay, man, let's cap that up and let's move on to some hockey, man. I
yep,
just got done talking about the recap stuff there, so let's take this way. You lead us down the path, and let's just roll with it.
yep. So Panthers, Rangers. this is kind of going how I thought it would go. I know we were talking about it. I'm not sure if it was the last episode, the one before, but I just think the Panthers, they're just the best team, of the remaining playoff teams right now. And they easily dispatched the Rangers. Bobrovsky, he's, man, he can turn it up another gear. When we had John a couple weeks ago, he said, or maybe he was talking about another goalie, but he was talking about Bobrovsky. If he gets on, if he's in a groove, he's legitimately a wall and you can't score on him.
Yeah.
And when I was watching that game, I'm like, what can you do? They couldn't score. He was doing everything. And then, when you got guys on the team that have the offensive firepower that they do, it just makes it extremely hard. And so they methodically won that game. I know it's one game, but man, that's a demoralizing loss for the Rangers, in my opinion. I know it's just one game. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, it's kind of interesting because it was the last podcast we were doing, and the Rangers were on live, or the Panthers Rangers were on live, and Florida went up 1-0 while we were on the podcast, and then it kind of went scoreless for period two. And I think we actually went and had something. I think we met up and had something to eat after that, if I recall. We ended up watching
Yeah,
the finishing part of the third period there. Honestly, man, I'm torn on this series. Like I said, this is probably going to be the biggest Goliath versus Goliath, NHL series that we see for the playoffs. I'm torn. I think it is a demoralizing loss for the Rangers, but on the flip side, it's also a very big propelling momentum forward for Florida. And I don't know. I see this kind of going. Anyway, I still think, regardless, this is going to come down to the wire. And I think each
yeah.
week, I think each week, both teams are going to slash the ice. They're going to score goals, and they're going to take a lot of shots on goal to make that happen. Which is something I'm very critical about looking at when it comes to numbers and stats and stuff. But no, man, I think the Rangers they took one in the ass for a minute there, and I think they come back,
They did.
and I think they showed Florida that they're they're still there. There's no ifs ands or buts about that. I think they're still there. So I think Florida played a great game, but New York's going to come back, and I think there's going to be a little bit of a blood in the water. Here's the vengeance, and I'm going to smack you around a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rangers completely dominate game two.
I don't know, man. Not Bobrovsky has anything to say about that. The way he's playing, he's not letting anything get in there. So, I mean, I think the Rangers, they can make it interesting. I mean, I said it a couple of times. They just play so well as a team. Uh, they gone through this playoffs playing extremely well. None of the series really were they in danger of losing that series. Now you're playing a completely different beast. Um, but they are, because they are playing in New York, I believe, these first two games.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have the home crowd into it. So that's gonna play a huge part. That New York crowd is definitely gonna want them to win game two. But we know that home crowd doesn't really mean much in
Yeah.
the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't really fucking matter, to be honest. But I could see the Rangers squeaking it out, maybe like a 2-1 game, something like that, where their goalie just is playing incredible, and then they win something like 2-1, 3-2, or something, or 1-0. I
Yeah.
can see that happening.
I mean, like I said, it's Goliath versus Goliath. I think that game one, you've said it a billion times. You can't judge something by game one, even though it does set kind of a weird tone for New York, coming
Yeah.
off of such a good series they had last couple of weeks, and so it does set that tone a little differently. But I think ultimately, I wouldn't be worried if you're Rangers fans. I think they're coming back. I think New York does what they need to do. Game two, they go back to Florida for 3 and 4. And I think depending on what we see game three is when we start being either this is exactly how this is going to go or this is some scary stuff that could possibly happen. So, yeah.
I don't know, Rangers fans. I think it's time to start burning that jersey early. I think it'll be wraps in 5,
Uh,
maybe 6 games if I'm being optimistic on a good day with like 10 hours of sleep. But we'll see.
yeah,
We'll
man.
see how game two. I think game two is going to give us. a really good idea of what this Rangers team is made of because I feel like if they lose game two, the Panthers are going to smell blood and they're thinking, okay, we're that much closer of getting back to our goal of getting back to the Stanley Cup and actually finishing the job. And so they're looking. This is a hungry Panthers team, man. They're not going to be satisfied just getting to the Stanley Cup. They're going to want to get there and want to finish the job. So this is extremely hungry. And I'm sure the Rangers are too, but this team is on a mission.
Yeah, I think they are, and I think that's what we'll see, man. Let's keep the ball rolling. Stars and Oilers, man. This is one of those matches you and I have not agreed on at all. So I think it's kind of interesting. What do you think, bud?
Yeah, I was actually watching it while I was playing pool, and I was looking at the screen, and man, this was. I felt like every puck was just hitting the um, every shot on goal was literally centimeters away from going in, either from an amazing save or hitting the post. And this is man, that it was just such a good game. I think I took this series for granted. I thought that it wasn't going to be that exciting. Game one proved me wrong. And honestly, both these teams look evenly matched. The Oilers went up 2-0. Stars came back. You know, they're a resilient bunch of guys.
Tied it
They're
up.
yeah, tight knit. And then overtime came. Again, a bunch of phenomenal saves, a lot of great hockey. They were slashing the ice there. And then legitimately, 15 seconds of second overtime, Bouchard got in a goal from Connor McDavid. Who else, right? Phenomenal assist to him. And man, Connor McDavid proved to be a difference. And he's
He's 6 years now. Like I think that's what he is. Is there 6 years now? He's
yeah,
this is
well, he got drafted in 2015, so this would be his eighth year, I think, eighth or
Yeah,
ninth.
I don't
But
think he played that first year though, but yeah, that's he's still phenomenal. But like
yeah, he's great.
I've been a Connor McDavid fan for a couple of years. I think he's a good dude, and I like seeing him. I like the way he talks when they interview him. Like I just got he just got a good like aura around him. I like that. But no, man, he that was a great assist to take it down 3-2. Obviously, I've been riding Edmonton for most of the NHL playoffs, so I like them a lot. What do you see since we're running out of time? Instead of waiting to do predictions, what do you see happening for the Oilers Stars, and what do you see happening for the Panthers Rangers? We'll summarize these up in the next 5 or 6 minutes, so we can call this day a night.
Oh yeah, the Stars are going to spank the Oilers next game. My heart is thinking that. My brain is thinking, okay, it'll probably be another close game, but I still think the Stars are going to win. Um, every time they get doubted, they just come back and proceed to prove people wrong. They've been proving people wrong, and I know they had a phenomenal record in the regular season, but I think they win game two. They have to. And then Panthers Rangers, I think they'll keep it rolling. Uh, the Rangers are at home. I can see them winning, but game one wasn't even competitive. I know it's game to game, but you know I think Panthers they just keep it rolling. So I'm on the Panthers train. I'm on the Stars train. I'm gonna ride that to the very end.
Okay.
I think they'll both meet up, but I could be proven wrong. I'm all about the eyeball test. I gotta see with my own eyes.
Yeah, the Panthers Rangers. Just so we can close out the night here. The Panthers Rangers for me. I'm on the fence with. I've been on the fence for it since I knew this series was going to line up the way it is. I think these two teams are just behemoth Goliath of teams, and I think this could go a couple of different scenarios here. The numbers they're just too damn close, so it makes it really hard to throw any kind of bets out there for. But the numbers are just too damn close. The Stars and the Oilers though, I'm sticking with Edmonton on this. Connor McDavid, I think he's gonna squeeze this one out. I think this is his year to raise that trophy on the ice at the end of the year. So I'm riding with Edmonton, and I'm not sure how I see the series playing out because with Edmonton winning against Dallas at home in Game One, that throws my kind of thought process off a little bit. But again, Game One, anything can happen when you're home team. Doesn't matter. I'm kind of like I'm still going to ride Edmonton. That train is still full steam ahead, but I see Edmonton winning the series overall, and I think it's going to ultimately be. I feel it's going to be the Rangers and the Oilers in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So
Hey, just ask me how the series is gonna go. I have the crystal ball right here. Actually it's charging in the next room,
Is
but
that what it is?
it's
That's funny.
yeah. But
That's
I
funny.
can tell you how's it gonna go. But
All
that's
right,
just
man. Well, let's do
my
this. Any last
prediction.
words for the viewers tonight?
No, man. Other than thank you guys very much. Very excited to proceed into the next phase of getting a wider group, wider audience. So I know we're both excited about what's to come with Apollo and all the changes that are coming. So
Apollo's gonna be
yeah,
awesome.
very very excited. Of course.
Awesome. Well, Dylan, man, I appreciate you, D man. As always, your input is always very, very helpful and insightful for our bettors and our subscribers. For everyone out there that's listening, again, we thank you guys so much for being a part of this. We really enjoy what we do. We don't always get along, but we have fun doing it. So,
Hell yeah.
for everyone that's listening, I hope you guys knock those parlays out of the park, make some bets for us, and we hope you have a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. And we'll see you guys on Monday.
See ya.